Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the Coast Star, the official newspaper of the Borough of Belmar, and the Asbury Park Press on December 19, 2018, and notice of this meeting was posted on the bulletin board of the municipal building.
Thank you, April. If everyone could rise and join me in saluting the flag of our great nation. I pledge allegiance. If everybody could just remain standing for a moment of silence for our troops, their families, and all our emergency service personnel. Thank you. All right, the first thing on the agenda is workshop. Does anybody have anything on workshop? The only thing that I want to bring up, and I know a lot of people are here because of this, the situation that we have on September 8th, and I just want to go over that there was two events that were scheduled. We didn't know really about it until it came to light, but we've been talking about this plan. Our business administrator, Mike Campbell, the police department, our special operations director. It boils down to it's a parking problem. We have no problem handling the two events, but it's a parking problem, and it's a parking problem because of the special needs children that are going to be attending. So our plan is for the parking is what we're going to do is we're going to close down Ocean Avenue, have angle parking on each side of the street, making it a lot safer for the special needs kids to get their families in. And the north side of the lake is going to be for the bishop coming for the mass. So logistically, we did a lot of work on this. It was well talked about before this meeting. We're finalizing the plan tomorrow. We're making it safer, we think, for the children because we're closing down all of Ocean Avenue, so there's going to be no vehicle traffic for the event. And we're confident that we can make this work. I know it's unfortunate. The two events that were scheduled is an internal problem which we'll handle. But we've all made a commitment to get this parking right for the event. So I know you're all here for that, but I just wanted to bring that up before we move on with the meeting. Anybody else want to have anything to say about it? Mike Campbell, would you like to just add to that about?
Something was broken. There was two events scheduled. We did meet. And I met with Fran Hines, who obviously runs the event, along with our chief, the mayor, Mr. Kirschenbaum. In fact, I met with Franny several times. And in the end of it, myself and the chief both feel it's going to be as safe, if not safer, event because the mayor had offered to close the Ocean Avenue. If you know the sandcastle contest, when you come in there, if you go down there, there are lanes that are made. I know, I get you crazy, right? There are lanes that are made for the buses and vehicles to pull in next to the boardwalk, so there's no parking in that one area. The vehicles will pull in, and the children we're going to use the same theory, so we're going to make two lanes, moving lanes, coming into the boardwalk area. So the children will be able to unload with their families, go right to the ramp, and then they will be shown a place to park. We are closing off a large part of Ocean Avenue, but we are closing off parking down to 9th or 10th, which we're going to figure out tomorrow. So again, there's going to be more parking places per number, but it's going to be safer because the ocean is closed. I absolutely believe in this plan. I think it will work. I think it can work. And, again, there are a lot of people passionate about this event, none more than the people and the families there. But I will say I've been a part of this event, and I'm going to make it work with the police and with the borough workers that are going to be there. It will work. We are 100% confident. And again, I know the chief wanted to say something on it also, but we will make it work. It's unfortunate they're both there, but it will be a safer event. You're going to be able to pull up, if you're from a family member, you're going to be able to pull up right to the ramp, where you used to have to pull up in the yellow in the parking zone, unload, and then go from there. You're now going to be able to pull up next to the boardwalk in two separate lanes, unload your child, get your family stuff out, and then you'll be shown a place to park and where we go from there. So again, I think it's going to work. We've handled larger events. If anybody remembers in the past, we have also put, only 1 year, because it was a lot, but we had the Seafood Fest and the volleyball tournament, both a block away from each other, and we made that work. It was crowded, but we made it work. On a great day in the beach in Belmar, we have tons of people coming down. We will make this work. So again, it was broken, we're going to fix it rather than cancel one or the other. We think they're both great events, we're blessed to have them, and we want to make it work.
And I just want to add, Mayor, and for the events, that we have a lot of experience with events. We've done multiple events on the same day. The following weekend after this event, we have 3 events on the same weekend. We have a lot of experiences. Myself, the DPW, and our staff. I have no concerns at all. This will work without any issues at all, and it's going to be safer due to the mayor offering to shut down Ocean Avenue for both the autism and the church. I have no concerns whatsoever.
Also, Mayor, if I may, the church called me today. They had a meeting last night in regards to this. They're ecstatic at the way we're trying to work this all out. They didn't feel the need to come to the meeting because we already had a preliminary meeting with the church, with DPW, with the chief, and with Franny Hines. Also, I was in contact with Jackie Moskowitz, who is the Autism Family Services in New Jersey, who is actually the applicant for this event. She will be at a planning meeting tomorrow, so we have in advance enough knowledge for those attending of what to expect. She, again, was elated and expressed to me on the phone and through an email today that she's excited that we were able to work this through and make sure that both events are safe. As a matter of fact, like Mr. Campbell said, I think this event's going to be safer than it was in years past. We're going to be unloading on a macadam. I mean, there's going to be no vehicular traffic on Ocean Avenue. So there's going to be no guesswork on when cars have to stop. They're not going to be there. There's going to be more than enough parking. It's going to be a safer venue, and I applaud the DPW, the police department, the mayor and council for working through this. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, without any other questions, we'll move on to, anybody have any petitions that they'd like to present to council? All right, seeing none. April, approval of minutes.
I have a motion to approve the minutes of the August 6, 2019 meeting.
Second.
Okay, Councilman Wan? Yes. Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Mayor Walsifer?
Yes.
Councilman McCracken?
Yes.
Councilman
Oh,
Carvelli?
excuse me, abstain. I wasn't at the meeting.
And Councilman Carvelli?
Yes.
Okay, reports to council. Councilman Carvelli.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's see. I have a couple things here. The Harbor Commission, that was a short meeting. I think Councilman Brennan has some comments on that. The ADA, we are off until September. BBP, the only thing I have on that is there's the second annual sidewalk sale coming up next Saturday, the 24th, 11 to 4. Rain date on Saturday, the 7th. Entertainment in Plaza, 4 to 6 p.m. And free door prize giveaways that day. Let's see. So, Police Explorers, we are starting to get that program going. I have some more details. We don't have an exact date of when we're going to be rolling this out. I'm assuming it's going to be the first couple weeks of the school year. But again, it's going to be for boys and girls, grades 6 through 9. And we're going to be, the program will be introducing students to roles, responsibilities, and activities of the Belmar Police Department, the Fire Department, EMS, lifeguards, water rescue team, and other safety programs. It's going to be educational and also enjoyable. Looks like there'll be some visits to the State Police Museum, the Police Academy, the Fire Academy, first aid and firehouses, as well as the police station. So more info on that to come. Finally, so we obviously have a renewed focus on parking and pedestrian safety in town. One of the things that I've taken note of is the parking situation as far as taxis and delivery vehicles go throughout the town. Obviously, we can't hamstring the businesses too much, putting too many limitations on them. But we do need both to sort of help us, help us protect the pedestrians, bicyclists, what have you. So I've been working with the chief on putting a letter together that will go out to all the businesses well, I think Main Street and Ocean Avenue, as well as all the taxi licensees, basically asking them to help us protect our pedestrians and cyclists. Trying to do things like, obviously, not block crosswalks, not park in the yellow. If you're delivering, please try to, if there's a lot around the back, park sensibly, use that lot, even if it takes some extra time. So I don't have a final copy of that yet, but that's something that we're working on as well. And so thank you, Chief, for jumping on that and, getting that out so quickly.
This will be put out by the end of the week.
Oh, great, thank you. All right.
All right.
And that is my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman McCracken?
In relation to public safety, particularly when it comes to our sidewalks and streets, I continue to get a lump in my throat every time I drive down 8th Avenue. And I was wondering, Chief, if you had an update or a status report of how those conversations were going with the state.
Councilman, I'm not sure if you're here for the last meeting. We did have an on-site meeting with myself, the administrator, Mike Campbell, with both the state DOT and New Jersey Transit. It is it's a delicate situation when it comes down to lighting with the train railroad crossings. So we've sent the state letters, and the engineers department requesting an additional on-site meeting. I spoke to the county today. The county is also assisting with this issue on trying to make this pedestrian crosswalk in that particular area safer. There are a couple options on the table. One is to relocate the crosswalk farther east from the railroad tracks, and possibly then we can actually put flashing lights there, possibly on a button. But that is up to the state, and it would be funding by the state through a grant, hopefully. But that's where we are right now. So the next meeting we'll have will be an on-site meeting again with the state DOT engineer department, and we're still waiting for that date.
Thank you very much. I know Councilman Carvelli reviewed this at the last meeting, but I just wanted to thank publicly again Director Campbell for allowing us to spend the better part of a day with him to tour all the borough infrastructure, meet many of his staff, and learn about how the DPW, Department of Public Works, operates. And I don't even know that that's a fitting name for your organization, because they pretty much do everything that needs to be done in town. They're really a very diverse group of people, covering everything from the beach to the harbor to the streets to the parks to our water system to recycling, and the list goes on and on. What? Oh, and the geese police. Yes, I learned all about the geese police, which was excellent. I did want to ask you, Mr. Campbell, I know that there's a project going on Main Street, and I've received some feedback from some residents and businesses, and I was wondering if you could give us kind of an update on to where we were with replacing pavers and how that operates with watering the plants and all the types of things that happen onto that street.
Sure. Thank you again for your kind words. I'll let the guys know. And secondly, the streetscape with the pavers, I'll talk about that first, since it's been an ongoing problem and an ongoing eyesore. It has been resolved through the mayor and the borough administrator. They are getting ready to close that project out. The work was completed on Friday, so the pavers were put back. We're actually scheduled for a walkthrough to close out the project officially on Thursday, to make sure there's nothing else, any small bumps or anything else that we're going to get done. Then we'll close that out and close out that grant. Mr. Kirschenbaum would have more information on that. As far as the grant and the monies, I did not get involved with that. But again, the project will be completed. So what we have done, with those areas being closed, we have started the mulching, the weeding, and everything else of those areas to make sure that they're cleaned up, squared away. You certainly expressed an interest, and at your behest today, we did from 16th to 12th on both sides of the road, got that ready, and we have already started with the red mulch down the other side with the weeding, and we will be completing it by the end of this week for sure. As far as the flowers go, the flowers, believe it or not, are watered pretty much every day unless it's raining, and the flowers that do flourish or don't flourish really has nothing to do with the watering. In fact, we've also put down some more fertilizer and things to make them grow, plant food. The problem is people are pouring coffee, sodas, cigarette butts, tipping them over at night. We've had a bunch tipped over 20. Throughout the summer, people just walking by decide to push them over, then we have to go back, replant them in the morning. All that stresses out the plants. So we do the best we can, and we're quite happy with what we've got so far. But it's not an easy project just to say, hey, you're watering them and they're going to grow and it's going to be great. I applaud the BBP for doing it. I think it looks great. I think it's a great part of the town with the flags. I think they've done a great job. That being said, we keep up on it the best way we can, but people are not always as respectful as they should be of the planting and the hard work that goes into it.
Thank you very much. Shade Tree Commission, we meet the fourth Wednesday of every month. Last meeting, the ordinance was modified to allow us to have 2 additional members and some alternates. So there's space on the Shade Tree Commission. If anybody is interested in trees and what the work that group does, please let us know, because we have some openings we could fill, and we want to have that group be as robust and active as possible. Just recently received a list of concerns from a resident from trees that were taken out and not replaced, and the Department of Public Works, another thing that they do, is in the process of doing an audit and looking at that list and doing an audit of that report that we got, and see and talk to homeowners and see where we are. So we'll be discussing that at our next meeting, which is good.
That's it. Thank you. Councilwoman Wan.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. Most of my committees are off for the summer. We'll start up in September with ADA. I would just like to announce that the community policing program has been very successful this summer. We're going to have a meeting after Labor Day. We're going to be going over all the statistics and preparing for the winter. So far, it's been working very well, and thank the chief and the police and everyone who's helped us. It's been very good. Come September, Teresa Pringle and I have been working with the Parks and Recreation, and Mike Campbell found this beautiful, it's not a gazebo, I guess you'd call it a shelter, for McCleary Park, which is going to go up. It's going to make it lovely down there if you're going to have a picnic or even a wedding. It really looks pretty to put up at McCleary Park. And we're also going to want to put together a committee of volunteers who are going to try and raise money so we can fix the tennis courts. We'd like to have them resurfaced. It's a shame because it's so pretty down there. So in September, I'll be looking for volunteers. We'll be looking for grant money. We'll be looking for any kind of donation we can get. And that's to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Council President Brennan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everybody. I have a few things. Harbor Commission meeting last week. My committees keep meeting all summer. I haven't had a break. The Harbor Commission meeting, a couple of highlights. The marina has more leases than it's had in the last few years. It's looking great. If you've been down there, now that all that work is done, the one construction project that's been going on where they had to open the road, they found a sinkhole that was actually started out on Route 35 that was creating a lot of runoff into the slips in the marina right by the bulkhead. We found that the state was responsible, and they should be just about done with that if they're not done already. So that's just a matter of fixing that up. Kudos to the business administrator for making sure that they knew it was their responsibility, not ours. The other thing is the boat show. Full speed ahead on next year's boat show. We're going to make sure that We are represented at the other boat shows in the area to make sure that the way it's scheduled now, ours would be the last boat show before the season actually starts. It's a great place to see. We made out very well with that this year. We got extra slips rented because people who bought a boat got a slip in our marina as part of the deal. They paid for it, but that was part of the deal. So we're really looking forward to that. That's going to be a joint effort really between the Harbor Commission, the Borough, the Belmar Business Partnership, and tourism, working hard to, because the marina is really one of our biggest assets. It's beautiful over there. We should definitely be making the most of it. Environmental Commission had a meeting, a short meeting, not a full quorum because it is the summertime. But they were able to plan a couple of things. They are actually going to be holding their October meeting. It's the second Thursday of the month they meet at 6:30, but they've reserved Taylor Pavilion, and they're inviting environmental commissions from around the other shore towns that are going to be coming down there so that we can discuss, issues that we all have in common, being shore communities. We all have a lot of the same problems with water and pollution. And it's a chance for contacts to be made, ideas to be exchanged. One thing we're going to be having is Krista Sperber Held from the New Jersey Organizing Project is going to be doing a presentation. I've seen this presentation about what we're looking at as far as sea level rise in shore communities. It's not a pretty picture, but it's really important that we know it so that we can start to plan for it. That's definitely going to be on the agenda for that. The Environmental Commission had 2 people resign this month. They sent in letters. One person moved, another person got a job schedule change. So we're looking for some new people. If you're interested in being on the Environmental Commission, let April Claudio, Borough Clerk, know, and we'll get in touch. We're definitely looking. I think I might have one person already. And the last thing for me, the Tourism Commission sponsored a special event this past Saturday night. It's a group called Musicians on a Mission. I'm a member. They are very active in raising funds for and supporting food banks in Monmouth and Ocean County. They do all kinds of events. Everything they do, it generates funding for this cause. I want a big shout out to Public Works, to Director Campbell, and to Charlie Vanderlyn for making sure everything was all set up for these people over there. What the event was, the Beatles versus Stones. Now, they've done this event a couple of times here in Belmar. The past few times they did it in Piano Plaza. The Tourism Commission wanted to try out a different site, so we actually had it on Memorial Field right across from the school, the corner of Main and 12th. And it turned out to be an excellent site, excellent setting. All the people involved were very, very happy with it. And they had a really good turnout. They had about 100 people. Considering this was a rescheduled date because it was one of those events that got canceled on that really hot weekend in July. So with a rescheduled event, you expect a smaller turnout. They actually had over 100 people. And I've always wondered how they make money. What happens is there's one band that plays all the Beatles songs, and then there's another band that plays all the Stones songs, and then they walk around with 2 buckets, and everybody throws money in, and whichever band ends up with the most money is the winner. And then nobody gets the money except for Musicians on a Mission keeps all the money, which is fine. Because it was a rescheduled event, the original band that was supposed to be the Rolling Stones couldn't do it, so my band did it. And we lost by $8. Such a rip. But it was a great event. One of the things I noticed was people were coming back from the beach carrying their chairs, and they just walked right onto the field and sat down in their chairs and watched the show. It was from 6 until 8. It was over by dark. It was great. So again, thanks to Public Works for all the help, and thanks to the Tourism Commission for sponsoring such a worthwhile event. And that's my report.
Thank you. I just have a couple things. August 30th, just so everybody remembers, our Congressman Smith will be up to dedicate our post office. So if anybody can go out to support that. They're dedicating to, and I don't have the paperwork in front of it, it's William McAfee. Yeah, he was instrumental in creating communication between the moon and Earth for the Apollo astronauts. So Congressman, and he was from the area, so Congressman Smith wants to dedicate our post office, and he's going to do that August 30th at 11 o'clock if anybody would like to come out. We have 2 weeks left of the summer, which everything's been going along pretty well. The other thing I wanted to bring up is 12th Avenue got paved today. That project, that was one of the projects that we almost lost, and it took a lot of work to get that finished up, and it's good that they're finished up paving 12th Avenue before school starts. And we have the Feast of San Gennaro coming up on September 14th and 15th. I think that's all I have. So we'll move on to public session on any of the resolution items. All right. Yes, Mr. Kramer.
Gene Kramer, Fourth Avenue. I have a question about, there's a resolution on there to hire a good engineer to work on the Lake Como pipe. Do we expect to get paid by HUD for the expense of that engineer?
The engineer was pulled from the resolution, but yes, they are going to pay for that. That is because the valve isn't working, and we had to get another engineer to take a look at it to see what has to be done to make the valve work properly. And so, but Mr. Dasty, if you could bring Mr. Kramer up to speed on what work was being done on that.
Sure, thanks, Jeff, thank you. We are complying with the DEP requirements. We're trying to get our engineer and who was originally with the project and our contractor back on the job, which we're very confident we're going to have that done. The resolution you're talking about has been pulled, so that won't be voted on this evening. But we think that we're going to get started now and finish up that project very quickly. And HUD is reimbursing the borough for almost all the expenses.
Okay, very good. I guess the other question is, how much is left in the HUD grant? How many dollars?
I don't have the exact figure, but
For the outfall pipe,
yes.
we don't have an exact figure, only because we're still in conflict with the 600,000 that we're trying to get back. We met with HUD in Washington. There's no figure right now because they've stopped the project. We're trying to conform. Right now, what Mr. Dasty's talking about is the flapper valve has failed. We are trying to get that resolved. That's the most important thing. We are in hurricane season now. We met with Washington, D.C. We met with the state of New Jersey. We're working out with Mazer the ability to conform with the specs of that project and reinforce a new valve to get that in, and that's what we're working on now. All litigation based on what money's left in there, that's going to be looked at, but right now we're trying to get that valve fixed because it's still not fixed.
The original grant, sir, was $6.1 million, as I recall. There's more than enough money there out of the grant available to pay the contractor to finish the work and all the soft costs.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else on the resolution calendar? All right, seeing none. April?
Mayor,
Oh.
can we pull 68? I'd like to just have some questions on that.
Okay. Can we have a motion to close the public session?
Oh, sorry.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. And then you want to remove 168?
Whether we remove it or I just had some questions on it.
Well, we could bring it to questions now without removing it.
Okay.
Yeah, if you want to talk about
All right.
168.
So-
Yeah.
All right. So I was just curious what, I have the resolution here that we got a grant for $250,000 from the Monmouth County Open Space for the park. And I was just wondering, Ed, or the borough administrator could summarize what that grant was used for.
This is an open space grant. It's a matching fund grant. I got a call in February from Monmouth County. We were in fear of losing about $91,000 in this grant because the Borough of Belmar never called back Monmouth County in regards to this grant. I don't have the exact figure on the top of my head. It was about $270,000 in this grant. This resolution is needed because we've moved forward. We've met with Monmouth County officials. We want to close this project. We're due about $92,000. Out of $267,000, it's a matching fund grant. It's a half for and half. Borough puts up half, we put up the other, the county puts up the other half. They don't pay for engineering. On this grant itself, Mazer, and I don't have the figures in front of me, but Mazer engineering was $103,000. The total project was, I believe, $277,000. The only thing that we're entitled to get back, which we were in jeopardy of losing, is about $92,000. This resolution is needed to close out part of the grant, so we can at least get the $92,000. This was an entire process down at McCleary Park where the bathrooms were put in. There was an open space grant at one time that we did not, the borough prior to our administration did not get involved in. That's why the costs were so high, because there was a Green Acres grant that they were looking at. They stopped working towards that Green Acre grant and only utilized the open space grant by Monmouth County. That's why the expenses are so high, and we're only getting back about $92,000. So this resolution is needed to close out that part of the part of the process. We still have to get a deed certification and an as-built for the bathrooms that are down there, but hopefully by September 15th or so, we're going to meet with county officials, and we'll be able to recoup $92,000.
But because of the failure to file paperwork previously, the Green Acres money was lost?
My understanding is that the town at that time decided not to move forward with the Green Acres grant. For what reason, I don't know. That's why the cost was so high. That's why we're not getting paid $103,000 from Mazer's engineering bill. It was not covered in the grant. So a matching grant, it's $182,000, something in that area. Like I said, I don't have the figures off the top of my head, but we are only entitled to in the area of $92,000.
And I know Councilman Juan was talking about the tennis courts there, and they need work. So I guess this grant didn't cover that work?
The Green Acres grant started out, they wanted it to encompass the entire McCleary Park with parking, as well as the tennis courts. That's what they started working on. For some reason, the borough pulled back. But what these open space grants, it's only a matching grant. They don't cover engineering. They don't cover work done by our Department of Public Works. It's only for the cost of what you put there. So, again, I don't know the reason why they closed out on that Green Acres grant. All I know is that we were in fear of losing the $92,000. I have Mr. Ferguson, who is one of our volunteer employees, that we pay him $1 a year. He's put this entire package together. He's had all the meetings. He's enabling us to get the $92,000 that we were going to lose.
I know this doesn't relate to this grant, but I think one of the things we might want to think about is, my understanding is there's other municipalities who've converted one or more of their tennis courts into pickleball, and that's
Well,
a
it's
very
part of it.
popular-
You can make the court,
Yeah.
line it out for pickleball.
Yeah.
I was very excited when I saw that possibly we're going to get $92,000, but it's already earmarked to pay a bill. So, here we go. But
I know the $103,000 that we paid Mazer Engineering was to do the engineering work for the Green Acres grant also. That's why it was so high, correct, Administrator?
Yes, Mayor, that's one of the reasons that they had moved forward. That's the engineering process that Mazer worked on was the entire Green Acres Park, and the tennis courts were part of that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? We'll keep it on.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I just
okay.
had a few.
Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion.
Second.
Thanks. Okay, Councilman Juan?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Mayor Walsifer?
Yes.
Councilman McCracken?
Yes.
Councilman Carvelli?
Yes.
Okay, next is first reading and introduction on ordinance 2019-31. This is an ordinance amending two sections of our ordinance, Housing and Property Maintenance Code and Development Regulations. We have a motion to offer this for first reading.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, Councilman Juan?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Mayor Walsifer,
Yes.
Councilman McCracken,
Yes.
Councilman Carvelli.
Yes.
Are we going to discuss this at all, or are we going to wait till the next meeting?
We have a public hearing at this next meeting,
Okay.
second meeting, so.
All right, next we have public session on any items. Yes, come on.
Mark Pfeiffer, 319 Fifth Avenue. On the subject of tennis and pickleball, I was going to bring that up tonight also about the resurfacing. And I played tennis for over 30 years, and like pickleball is like getting
big.
just so popular. It's easier to play, not as likely to get hurt. It's so popular that Bradley Beach they had one tennis court, and they had fit 4 pickleball lines on there. So on Tuesday and Thursday night, from 6 to 8 o'clock, they do pickleball. And Spring Lake did convert one of their tennis courts to pickleball. The problem is the tennis court net is about 3 inches higher than it should be for pickleball. So, to the point, if we do get the funding for it, I would suggest resurface just 2 courts for tennis, and then you can actually fit 6 pickleball courts in the same space as 2 other tennis courts. So if you think about having 6 pickleball courts down there and 2 tennis courts, it'd be a beautiful, addition.
Would you like to join the committee and
I
help
would.
us? Thank you. That would be wonderful.
would.
Thank you so much. Great. Okay.
Anyone else? Yes, in the back. Stephanie?
I'm sure you can all guess why I'm here. In case you didn't know, Stephanie O'Donnell, 306 19th Avenue. First, I'd like to extend a heartfelt thank you to Councilwoman Patty Wan, who was the only council member to acknowledge and respond to the letter my husband Kevin and I sent to each of you in regards to the scheduling of Surfers Healing Beach Bash and the Bishop's Mass. So thank you very much. We appreciate that. This is not part of what I wrote, but I do think that I need to mention this, that there's such a sense of confidence amongst you that you are displaying about your parking resolution that would have me assume that you all have some personal familiarity or perhaps professional experience dealing with a child with autism. If you don't, I'm here to help you with that. I'm speaking to you as a mother of a son with autism. My son, who is 12, first developed his love of the ocean through Surfers Healing. He has participated in this program since he was 3 years old, and his love of the sea and all things involved with it continues. It is because of Surfers Healing my family can go to the beach with confidence and security that our son is kept safe in the waves. There is a well-known saying in the world of autism: if you have met one child with autism, you have met one child with autism. This disability does not permit one to classify or diagnose a person with autism by certain traits. It affects each child differently. Some children with autism are verbal. I'm lucky enough to have one of those, although at 1 o'clock in the morning one might debate that. Why others are not. Often this disability comes hand in hand with others, such as ADD, ADHD, OCD, anxiety, sensory disorders, and this is just to name a few. For a child with autism to come to the beach may require his or her parents or guardians to prepare for hours or even days. For the child, it may involve him or her dealing with sensory issues with the sand and salt water, noise levels, experiencing anxiety of being in an unfamiliar place with unfamiliar people, and perhaps an inability to express how they are feeling due to this mounting anxiety. Can all of you, just for a moment, take a moment to imagine what this must feel like for this child? And what it must feel like to be a parent or guardian who cares and loves for this child. Now, if you have taken this moment, you can understand why so many people in this room are concerned that the Belmar Council has approved holding a Mass with the Bishop just 2 blocks away. on the same day as this very special event. And I know for a fact which of those events was scheduled first. For Surfers Healing Beach Bash, there are families coming from 10 different states. And right now the count is 5,700 persons anticipated to attend this event. Do you know the number of persons that have attended the Mass when the bishop has given it in Belmar? I can tell you by my husband and I and Franny Hines looking at the aerial photos, the number was in thousands. But you have a parking resolution that's going to solve all of this. So happy. Can you understand my concern and those who are in attendance of simply the safety issues of hosting these two events simultaneously? Let's just talk about your parking issue. Can you put yourself in the parents' shoes that have to circle our town to find parking while trying to calm their anxiety-ridden child in the back of the car? Around and around in a car. And once they're lucky to find a parking spot, having to safely transport their child, who may or may not be a flight risk. In case you don't know what that is, child just takes off across avenues while carrying the child's most calming food, toys, clothes, etc. Your resolution is a drop-off area. Wonderful. What happens when there is a single parent with a child with autism? Or when one parent drops off the child, now the child's screaming because the other parent is leaving them in the car. It happens, just so that you know. And how is that one parent who's now been dropped off with the autistic child who may or may not be a flight risk supposed to handle getting the child securely to the sand as well as all the materials that they packed? Unless you're talking about a valet or a donkey system to help these people get their things to the sand, it's not going to work. I invite each of you on Sunday, September 8th, during Surfers Healing Beach Bash, to come and sit with a family and experience what it's like. Because right now you're talking as if you have no idea. So my question to you, Council, why is Belmar hosting the bishop on this date here in Belmar when there are numerous locales along the shore where this Mass can be held? I'm going to tell you as a parent, as a citizen, I am appalled. Appalled. Because you have not taken one moment to consider what life is like for this child and these families. Not one. And you came up with a parking resolution that you think is going to solve this problem? These children have one day to come to the beach and be treated like they are typical. And you're about ready to take that away from them. You haven't even talked about the traffic and people coming into this area. You haven't even mentioned that. That is not a resolution, what you have proposed this evening. It's not even close. You have a responsibility to your citizens, to the community, and those who are coming to Belmar with the hope of a beautiful and successful day for Surfers Healing Bash to change this venue. I implore you right now to reconsider. Not with a resolution. Take the Mass and bring it somewhere else. This was scheduled first.
Okay, anyone else?
Judy Rakozak, 1223 Oak Road in Belmar. I'm also a parent of a special needs student here in Belmar that looks forward to this one day, because that's when she gets to go into the beach, into the ocean, okay, that she feels she's with her peers. Doesn't happen often. The parking resolution is not gonna work. I can't drop Sophia off. So I drive up there with her, what am I gonna do? I can't drop her off. So how am I gonna get tunneled through and where am I gonna park? Are the people for the mass gonna be parked somewhere else completely? I mean, in years past, you get a parking pass. You know how to come into Belmar, you could use multiple streets, you come in, you could park by the gazebo, you walk across the street, you're with your kid, you're with your stuff, and it's safe. It's not gonna work. I mean, I could not have said it any better. But it's just not gonna work, and really, people don't have an idea. They don't have a clue unless you have a child that looks forward to this. And last year, by the way, people know, it was canceled because of the weather. So that was devastating in itself, and I know that Sophia's been looking forward to this for 2 years now. And if I'm gonna be waiting on a line, like, a herd of cows to get into the one street, to get to this drop-off that's not gonna work for me, I could be in that line for an hour. I could miss her time. So I live in town. When do I start? 5 in the morning? What happens to these people that come from hours away? I don't know if that was considered. It's not Belmar people. I mean, there's probably only 5 or 10 Belmar people. What happens to these other folks?
We have a meeting tomorrow with Jackie Moskowitz from, who put in this application, as well as DPW. I think Franny Hines is gonna be there, the police. We're going to try to fine tune plans tomorrow. Let's see what happens tomorrow based on the needs. Jackie has expressed interest that she wants to be there. This is,
Okay.
okay?
Can the bishop not change his date?
We
Does
were
he
told-
have needs?
What's that?
Does he have special needs? He can't change his date?
Listen,
I'm a parishioner of St. Rose, but he can't change his date?
He's booked 6 months in advance, that's what they told us.
Can the mass be 6 months from now?
We can revisit everything tomorrow, we have a meeting at 10 o'clock.
Will it be considered?
It will be considered.
Okay, thank you.
I know this is public comment, but, I think it is an excellent point that was brought up by the person who spoke first about the concerns with the drop-off, and that really resonated with me. The fact that oftentimes these people with autism have to have someone stay with them, particularly if you're a single parent. I was moved by that. Certainly I would volunteer to be able to assist people for the event. I don't know if it's conceivable to get valet parking. You guys have the meeting scheduled tomorrow, I know, but I really do think that needs to be given high consideration in this. How do we accommodate those circumstances if these two events continue to be scheduled at the same time, if one can't be rescheduled?
And like you said, the meeting is tomorrow morning to really finalize and look at everything. So I'm not making no comment tonight. Mike Campbell has worked this event every single year. He knows what needs to be done. He is totally committed to making sure it works. He's worked it every year, and this issue is a parking problem. Everything that happens down the beach is the same as always. So we're closing down Ocean Avenue, which has never taken place before. We've calculated out the number of cars that fit on the lawn, and we're going to have spots for every one of those cars that fit on the lawn. So I don't know, after that, I don't know what's different from the other years. But Mike Campbell, we have a meeting tomorrow morning, and this is the last time I'm going to say, we have a meeting tomorrow morning to really take a look at this whole issue, and we're going to finalize one way or another how it's going to go. We have another council meeting before the 8th, so we'll inform you at that council meeting. Anybody else? Yes.
Linda Sharkus, 4th Avenue. I usually focus on solutions, and I'd like to suggest, since this is a cohort of a number of different towns, that it's moved to Spring Lake along their lake instead of conflicting with a major event that people 12 months a year are spent getting ready for this major event. And it seems really unfair when we have other venues that would be available for the bishop. I'm sorry, I think this and special needs children should come before a religious event. Not all the members of the community are Catholic. And I think we should take that into consideration, because you're putting everybody else in an uncomfortable situation. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Franny Hines, and I hate the position that all of us are in right now. It's a bad place to be for each and every one of us, you know. But I have to agree with some of the folks here that this is just absolutely unnecessary, and this mask could be moved. We can't do anything that even is remotely, possibly going to illy affect this event that we do every year, you know. And everybody that speaks with passion, you know, because we are parents of kids with autism. And Mike Campbell has been an incredible asset to us with our event, you know. But the way this whole thing happened is causing so much problem that I think the future of this event may be in jeopardy. And we lost our event last year to the weather. And if anything even remotely interferes with it this year, it will be the last year. I've been doing this for 12 years. If you know me, I live and breathe for these kids. And,
It's okay, Fran.
the mask could be moved very easily, very easily. And I'm gonna be at the meeting with Eddie and Mike and whoever else is gonna be there. And I'm gonna listen to this plan, you know. And I do applaud you for your work and your effort to try to straighten this out. But I kind of agree with everybody else that a parking plan isn't really the answer, you know. Parents of special needs kids go to great lengths to protect their children. Unknowns scare us, and this is an unknown, and it scares us. That's what it is, because some special needs parents
306 19th. I had something prepared, but I'm just going to touch on a few things. I've been involved in different things going on at that beachfront for close to 30 years, and I've witnessed firsthand how DPW and the police department handle these large events, and I've been in planning meetings, and I have no doubt that they can execute their plan. I'm just not sure if it's the right plan in the best interest of everyone involved on this day. There's also the Beach Bash, there's the Belmar Pro Surfing Contest, there's the town-wide yard sale. I know that we've had multiple events in town many times before, but we're changing something that's been working for the past 12 to 13 years. So I have a question in that you calculated the number of spots on the lake. Are you calculating close to 400, 500 spots, and that you're finding 400, 500 additional spots, or 200? I'm not sure what your numbers are. Close from Ocean Avenue to B Street on 6th Avenue and 7th Avenue, there's 200 spots on the street. When I calculated what would fit on conservatively on the lake, I was counting about 200. So you've got to find 400 additional parking spots other places in town. And by doing so, you're also taking some of those spots that people that got there late, that couldn't fit on the lake during that time. We have a parking issue. And I really hate for a family to be driving down. If you have an autistic child, you don't drive down for 1 o'clock surf time at 8 o'clock and spend that day, because the anxiety waiting for your start time, we purposely don't bring our son down until at least an hour beforehand. We have the luxury of being able to walk down there or have someone drop my wife and my son off, because I've been volunteering for it for the past 12 years. So my job is crowd control and safety of the surfers and the kids and the families that are down on that beach. So my wife handles that, and I give her all the credit in the world for doing that. I have to come up and sometimes help, ease his anxiety. If I'm a parent that's coming from Pennsylvania with a 1 o'clock surf time, and I time it out perfectly to get there 11:30, 12, and I can't find parking, and I don't get my family down there onto the beach at a certain time, Surfers Healing, if you don't show up for when they call your time slot, you lose your time slot. Can you imagine telling your child you can't surf because you missed your time slot because we couldn't find parking? Again, I have no doubt and all the faith in the world that Mr. Campbell and the police department have put a good plan into place, but we're fixing something that's not really broken. If you ask the church to reschedule, go to a different place, you allow it to continue to work as it is, you don't increase the anxiety of the kids and the parents who are already they're gonna start to hear about this, and they're like, where are we gonna park? It's gonna be a public relations nightmare if there's parking issues down there. And I'm very proud to have been a member of this community. Someone in my family's been here for over 100 years, and it's been the greatest honor to be a part of that and to see how the town of Belmar has come around to support this event and to help host this event. And I know there's a lot of things from garbage and planning and days before and after. And it's not just the Day of Surfers Healing that Franny does this. He does Down syndrome children on Monday, and he's doing Wounded Warriors on Saturday. And if this event disappears, now it's not just going to be autistic kids that are hurting from this. It's going to be 3 sets of different needs people that Belmar, it really puts us on the map. The social media goes crazy over it. Belmar's in a positive light. I'm hoping that this doesn't come back and bite you in the you-know-what, because there's a traffic nightmare down there.
Yes, Jim.
Hi, Jim Bean, 612 16th Avenue. I just want Mayor, you could fix this with a snap of your finger if you wanted to. And I believe this is it's an unnecessary risk. Why even risk that something could possibly go wrong when you just reschedule the church or go somewhere else? I'm sorry, it didn't work out. And all the problems are solved. It's that simple. Thank you.
Yes.
You've got another O'Donnell. Lee Kelsey O'Donnell, 306 19th. Everybody's touched upon the logistics, and everybody's echoed the praises, and there's no reason for me to go back on that. Mr. Bean actually just touched upon it. Mayor and Council, you could fix this with the snap of your fingers. The fact that Surfers Healing has been in existence in Belmar for 12 years and has been planned from the day that it's done for the next year, and you know that you have people 5,000 plus, you see how emotional we get. And you're giving, and again, this isn't a slight on the church, but 6 months in advance. We've been here for 12 years. The fact that this is even a debate just shows that these children and their families are being treated second. And this is supposed to be the one perfect day for these children and their families. It's hard having a sibling or a child or any family member with special needs. I can't even express how much it disheartens me to know that the resolution that's been come up with is a parking resolution. I didn't even know that there were other parishes who were in the cohort for the Bishop's Mass. They're supposed to be our neighbors. Look to them. I truly believe, after listening to everything and hearing what the resolutions are, and I'm not trying to slight that because it could work, as Franny said, but we're being treated second, and it's showing, and it truly is disgraceful, and I would ask you to reconsider.
Ken Pringle, 203 First Ave. Is it the Mass is in different towns, the other cohort towns, and then is in Belmar once every X years, or is it every year that it's in Belmar?
All I know is it got rained out last year, and how it got scheduled on the same day, that's an internal problem that we have to fix.
Right.
But like we said, we have the final meeting tomorrow morning with everybody, church, Franny, Mike Campbell, and believe me, you look at your professionals. If they tell me that it can be done, we close off Ocean Avenue, it can be done. We can get the people down there safely. I have to listen to the police department and my professionals if they think that it can be done.
Look, I get that, and no one has more respect for the job they do and their attitude about doing the job than I do. I've seen it. And there were events that I was promised in the past could be pulled off. The MTV Sports Festival comes to mind. We sent police officers to New Orleans to see how that worked, and it didn't come out the way we had hoped. not for lack of effort, not for lack of planning, just because it was a lot of things we didn't anticipate. This event is something that there's so much at risk. And not just maybe it'll work, maybe it won't work, but you have all these families who have enough on their minds now have to worry about how this day is going to turn out. Are they going to be able to get there in time? Are they going to be able to, to get their child safely onto the beach? And not just safely, but in a way that doesn't stress the child out, doesn't stress them out, doesn't ruin the day before they get to enjoy it. Our people who have worked so hard year after year to make this happen, they have to worry about it. And they ought not to. There's enough things that they have to worry about without having to worry about this. I attended a mass that the Pope gave on the Mall in Washington, D.C. Wasn't any more of a spectacular setting than Memorial Field. I mean, we give masses in stadiums. I think we can offer the bishop an option. We can apologize that we have this beautiful venue, and I get how proud we are that the bishop of the Diocese of Trenton would come to Belmar and give a mass from our beautiful gazebo, and with the lake in the background, the ocean opposite, and that would be wonderful, no question about it. But it's going to be there next year, and we can invite the bishop back to have his mass next year. It could even possibly rain, but we're going through all of this just because we're unwilling to say to the bishop, we have an event that means a great deal to the people of our community. It means a great deal to the people our community serves on that day. And we need to look out for them. And we apologize that we have to either offer you an event space that's not quite as beautiful, but will accommodate everyone who comes. And we'll give you all the courtesies that day. And we can also offer that other communities around us may wish to take the opportunity to host this themselves. I don't see how anybody loses on that. We get to be respectful, mindful of the value of having the bishop come. I am a Catholic, but I think it is important that we offer that kind of an opportunity to the people who would come and celebrate a mass. But it doesn't have to be at the head of the lake. I think we can offer another option, and I think we should try that. I think you owe it to these people to do that. All right, thank you.
Okay. Yes.
Because of this, I just wanted to let you know, what I thought was most important, what you said, I've been a special ed teacher for 35 years. Unless you have a special needs child, anything and everything, you don't know. You really don't know. I don't have a special needs child, but I've been taught around special needs children, special education for 30 years. Unless you have a special needs child, you cannot understand what could or might not happen. So I agree with all that.
Anyone else? Yes.
This is not on that topic, so I want to finish up. Gerald Buckafusco, 409 Fifth Avenue, and I'm not looking forward to September 8th either. I live 3 blocks from the beach. So, I'd like to give you, this is about Resolution 166, which has to do with the municipal building a new municipal complex. And I wanted to give you the citizens' viewpoint on that resolution. And I really am here to try to, I have a proposal, or not a proposal, but I'm going to give you 3 reasons to abandon that RFP. Right? The first one is, I have not seen any documentation, any presentation, either from the administration or from the council about the status of the complex. I mean, in the resolution itself, I mean, what it says is there's a concern about the condition of Belmar's municipal complex. Okay? In the RFP itself, it refers to problems with old, antiquated municipal complex. Well, I've worked in government for 28 years, 500 municipalities in the state of New Jersey. I can guarantee you 80% of them are in old, antiquated municipal complexes, okay? But we don't have any data. I mean, as a citizen, what do I know about this complex? Nothing, okay? Are there reports from the business administrator to the council outlining what deficiencies are? How much is it going to cost to fix them? Is it worth fixing them? I don't know. Are there? It's a rhetorical question. I don't expect any answers to these. But that's what I would be asking for if I were in your shoes. You know, give me a report.
We had our engineer go
Tell
through
me.
the building, yeah.
Tell me what's wrong with it. And then feed that information to the public, right? Because right now I'm standing here and it's like, I don't know. You know, the only thing I see when I walk in the building is, you know, I go pay my taxes, and that's it, and I come in here. So that's the first thing. And that also goes to the next thing that was put into the RFP about, not only is it antiquated, but it no longer meets the needs of our residents. Well, how is that? Again, has there been any studies done? I mean, simply, has anybody counted the number of people that come into this building every day? What's the traffic?
Our issue is with the police department, because when they took over Lake Como, they didn't calculate what our police department capacity is, as far as lockers, as far as the amount of people that we have go through the police department, as far as evidence collection. So,
I mean, I appreciate that, but again, how do I, as, you know, the citizen, taxpayer, know that?
and the
Aside
RFP,
from
the
the fact that you
RFP
just
went
told
out
me.
to get proposals because a couple developers come in with some ideas. So we said, well, let's go above board, put out an RFP, let them give us a presentation. We might not take any of them. We might
Well,
say, no, we're going to we'll put the money into the building.
That goes to my third point. But, and lastly, you know, we're talking about energy inefficiency and a great deal of maintenance. Again, these are all generalizations that me and probably others as citizens, we don't know what you're talking about, okay? So in my viewpoint, since there's no documentation, there's no facts, there's no details, my view is you don't need a new municipal building, okay? And if you do, there hasn't been any alternatives proposed. Maybe we need to move the police department. Maybe we need to get rid of the gym and put stuff in there. You know what I mean? I don't see that discussion going on amongst you guys and girls, which, again, that's my point number 3. So as far as giving the information to the public, I think you've been deficient in that area, okay? My second point is the resolution itself is misleading, okay? When you look at the title, and I'm a stickler for details, so you'll probably see me up here, you know, periodically, but the actual resolution says we're looking for proposals for the redevelopment of the Belmar Municipal Building and Parking Lot. First of all, I don't know how you redevelop a building. You rehab it, you replace it, whatever, but be that as it may. But in the actual resolution, it says, whereas Belmar believes it's appropriate to solicit requests for proposals for the potential construction of a new municipal complex, either on the property where the complex is now located or perhaps other property owned by Belmar. All right, so now that's what the resolution says, which is not exactly what it says in the header of the resolution. Okay, we'll take that one step further. When you actually look at the RFP says the same thing. It says that it's for the redevelopment of the Belmar Municipal Building and Parking Lot, okay? And to me, you know, there's a little bit of a confusion there as to what the real intent of this proposal is. Are we building a new building, or are we redeveloping this area? And if you look at, for those of you who might have it or might not, but in page 7 of the RFP, I think is the most significant page for me in terms of what this resolution is all about. First of all, we now see
the terminology redevelopment area vision, okay? And we find out at least a little bit about what the new municipal complex is going to be. It's going to be 20,000 square feet, and the gym is going to be 15,000 square feet. That's the proposal. But then, and again, there's a term of art used in this section, which is not carried through, but that's known as the borough parcel. I assume the borough parcel does not include the gym. It just includes the municipal complex. And then we find out that the borough parcel can either be in standalone structures or incorporated into a mixed-use building, right? And a parking garage. Okay, so now we're expanding. We're not just replacing the municipal complex. Now we're getting into a mixed-use building, okay? And then, lo and behold, it says, an alternate option will be to relocate the municipal offices, court, recreation, and the police station to a new location. Well, where's that location? Are we going to let the developer tell us where the new location is? What if they want to put it on the, across from Taylor Pavilion? That's municipal property, okay? So I think I'm not real happy with the verbiage in this section, because now the next sentence says the respondent would be expected to construct the borough parcel as part of the development project. And the first thing I wrote down here is, what development project? The resolution said we're looking for the construction of a new municipal complex. From that, now we've gotten into a redevelopment project, all right? And the next paragraph talks about the design of the mixed-use development. So it doesn't look to me that we're just focusing on the municipal complex, because then it says that the borough, again, without any discussion amongst you here out in open public, the borough is open to incorporating adjacent parcels that are owned privately to create a larger scale. Well, that's nice. I mean, adjacent parcels where? Here? Adjacent parcels where the municipal building might be built? Why would we want to create a larger scale? Oh, you mean if the developer thinks he needs more room to develop what he wants to develop? Okay? And then it goes into the Seaport plan, and now, so what's happening in my mind is I see an excuse to give this property to developers in return for a municipal building. Okay, it doesn't say that anywhere here, but if you kind of read between the lines, that's the sense that I'm getting. Citizen, okay? I don't know, there's nothing in here about how we're going to pay for the municipal building. There's nothing in here that says, oh, the developer is going to build this in return for giving us a municipal building. Is that the intent of this proposal? If it was, it should be put here in plain English, okay? So that bothers me a little bit. The last point, which I think is maybe the most important point, is that the council really has failed to give any opportunity for the residents and taxpayers of Belmar to voice their concerns, their ideas, or their opinions, okay, as far as what should be done with this property. It troubles me, Mr. Mayor, and you just said it tonight, that, oh, developers came and they said they wanted to do this, and lo and behold, we have an RFP, because developers said they wanted to do something.
It was not one. That's why we put it out so broad, because it was a few
But
that
how
came.
about asking the public first?
Well,
what
we
they
are
want?
going to ask the public when
No,
they come and
after
present.
the fact.
When they
You know,
come
I
and
heard at the
present.
last meeting, we're going to be open.
Right.
Everything is going to be done at a meeting.
We have, there is nothing in there that we're bound to. We're asking to see.
You're missing my point.
If somebody
This
wants to
whole
come in
thing
and
was
propose it-
done without the public's input. In other words, step one has already passed already. Why weren't there discussions here about doing this? How did the council know that this was happening? You didn't just develop this proposal in the 2 weeks since the last meeting.
No, our attorney put it together.
And nobody had any discussions about this ahead of time, about what was going to go on.
Nothing's
and-
etched in stone. Nothing
No,
is
no, no.
going to be done. We asked a question. Somebody asks you
We
a
could have did this all behind
question.
closed doors.
No,
We're
no,
being open about it. We're saying, hey, somebody came and
my
offered
problem-
something. There it
My
is.
problem is very simple. The business of the council is supposed to be done in public, okay? When I see something like this come up, and you sit here at the last meeting, and I hear, oh, this is the resolution, here it is, everything is going to be open, everything is going to be fine, we can reject it, we can take it, we can modify it, we can do all this stuff. What in my mind says is, when did all this happen?
Can you
Let me
please
ask
tell
you
me
a question,
what
sir.
we're
Was there-
hiding?
no, I get
What
to
are we
talk.
hiding?
Let me
Okay,
finish,
let
and
me
you
just
can
ask
ask
you
me
a
the
question,
questions at the end.
With all due respect.
Let me-
Did this start the discussion?
What's that?
Has this RFP started your discussion?
Yeah.
Well, then it's transparent. We're starting the discussion. You're here.
No, it's not transparent, because you already did an RFP to go to a developer. Why didn't you ask the public what we want?
No.
Maybe I don't want a public building here. Maybe
Mr.
I want
Dasty,
a park.
can you
Maybe I want an
address- 'cause it sounds
amphitheater.
like you
Maybe I
think-
want something for the public of the town.
So it sounds like you think like something inappropriate is going on here.
No,
So-
no. What I'm saying exactly is, there's business being done here, not in public, okay?
Which would be inappropriate, right?
Which would be inappropriate.
So, Mr.
And I'm not
Dasty, can
saying
you-
that's been done intentionally.
Right.
But all I'm saying is, I'm reminding you that these types of decisions, this decision to put out this RFP, should have been discussed at your work session at least the week before that this came out. Okay?
If I could say something, because it sounds like some of these stones are getting thrown my way. And Mr. Kirschenbaum is correct. This is starting the discussion. I don't know what's wrong with that. I mean,
The
we can
problem
have-
is the discussion now
No,
is
let me
about
fi-
whether or
let me
not
try to
we
finish.
do a developer, we do
Let me
this,
try
we
to
do that.
finish.
I think the discussion should have started a few steps before
Well,
this.
maybe, that's your opinion.
Yeah.
But either way, there's going to be an open, public discussion. And
And that's why
should
I
it-
think the resolution should, and the RFP should be abandoned.
Look, I'm not going to try to convince you,
I
because
know
it's
you're
not
not.
going to work. But the point is that there would be public, the mayor and the council have indicated, there's going to be public meetings
Mm-hmm.
and with developers trying to sell their goods. And if there's 50 people out here and who don't think that's a good idea, which is just what we have, no harm, no foul, no expense to the town. So I don't know what else we could do.
I'm disappointed
Well-
that the council did not take the time to go out to the citizens and taxpayers of this town and discuss the proposal of the redevelopment of Lot 66, of Block 66, lots 1 to 10, which this complex sits on, right? But it rather heard got the ear of the developers and said, you know what? Let's see what they can give us, okay? Without any input from any of our tax-paying citizens, okay? That's my point. That's my point. That this should have been, we shouldn't be doing it after the fact. We
What do you
shouldn't be
think we're
sitting
doing
here
af-
with
what do you think-
developers.
Sir, what do you think we're doing after the fact? We didn't make any decisions. What did we do
But this
after
is-
the
this is-
fact?
Then this is premature, this
It's getting the
resolution.
ball rolling. I don't know how else, no decisions have been made, and everything will
I
be
know
done in
that.
public.
That's why I
Mr.
think it should be
Dasty.
abandoned, and it should be started afresh with
So-
input from the public.
Mayor Pringle left. I was actually going to ask him, because I know this whole vision started when he was the mayor. But the Seaport redevelopment program is part of the town's master plan, correct? And the master plan is something that the planning board does, and there's public comment at the master plan. When that's done, the planning board, there's opportunity for public comment and everything there, right? So I just want to make sure this is something that has been, I'm new to the council, so I just don't know. But that has been, the town has been considering for many, many years and has been thoroughly vetted multiple times through the planning board and is just now getting to the point where the council becomes involved. Is that correct, or?
Not only are there public meetings before the planning board, but there would then, and there's enabling ordinances, zoning ordinances that you have to consider, which are, again, public meetings. And that, you have a right to voice your opinion, even if it's not accurate. But
The
that-
Seaport
yes,
plan,
so
this has nothing
important
to do with the Seaport plan. Whatever is built in this area obviously must comply with the Seaport redevelopment plan. That's not my point. My point is that municipal property within that Seaport plan, the use of that property, the location of a new municipal complex, those are issues that should be discussed with the council and with the taxpayers before we seek input from developers. That's my point.
And again, if I may, this has started the process. This has started the public discussion. We appreciate you coming to the microphone and expressing your opinion. You, as a taxpayer, you're expressing your opinion.
Exactly.
This starts the process. Should we, last meeting, say, okay, we're going to put up RFP? Well, then, nobody knows or understands what we're even talking about at most times. This starts the process. There is nothing binding. This starts the public comment and the process of that RFP.
Right.
And you have a right to say what you have to say, but please be accurate about it. We are having a conversation in public about this RFP, correct?
Yes, we are. What I'm saying is, in my opinion, the conversation should have started before the RFP was put as part of the resolution. That's the only point I'm trying to make.
Sir, and I appreciate your opinion, and you're entitled to it.
Right.
I just want to make my point, and I appreciate your opinion.
Right. And I will be here at every council meeting when you have information from developers or otherwise to express my opinion again and again and again.
And we look forward to it, sir.
Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Sheila.
Hello. Oh,
All right,
work
no, that's
now?
good, that's good.
My name is Sheila Langen, 1822 Greenwood Terrace, Lake Como. I do not have a special needs child, but I am the neighbor of a family with a special needs child. And I have nothing but admiration and respect for them and what they go through in their family. I am just very curious if anyone asked Father Ed to attend this meeting tonight.
He's attending the meeting tomorrow.
But did anyone invite him to come here tonight? And he declined, I guess.
The church called me this afternoon. They will not be attending, they said they will not be attending this meeting, but they are attending the meeting tomorrow to discuss the plan or whatever the future holds. So we're going to have everybody that's involved in this whole situation at the table tomorrow to discuss. Quite frankly, I applaud the people that are here because they bring up some points in regards to what a special need parent does. It makes sense to me. So we're going to have everybody at the table tomorrow at 10 o'clock.
My point is, I was a teacher at St. Rose for 34 years before retirement. I know Father Ed. I worked for Father Ed. Father Ed is a very reasonable Christian man. If he were here this evening and heard the sentiments expressed by the people that got up and spoke this evening, he would be the first one, I think, to say, you know what, we're going to look into having it somewhere else.
And may I say this? He will know exactly what was said tonight because we live stream and we will have a copy of this for him to see
Oh,
tomorrow.
that's wonderful.
Okay.
Very good. I'm sure it's a feather in his cap to be the host of this event, this mass, but as I said, I'm sure if he had heard the sentiments tonight, he would have said, we'll host it somewhere else.
I give you, we will have him here tomorrow.
Yes.
Nancy Koenig, 303 C Street. And my sentiments exactly what this previous lady said. How is the church going to know that myself, as a Catholic and a parishioner, I am a little disappointed in them because I've been attending Surfers Healing as a first aid member for the last 12 years. Now even I have to make a decision, which one am I going to go to? And I want to make sure that St. Rose knows that sentiment from all the people here and from everybody.
Can I just say this?
Sure.
We're not going to blame the church, and we're not going to blame this event. Who we're going to blame is me, okay? I'm in charge of the borough. I didn't know about the situation until Mr. Hines brought it to my attention. I take full blame for this. I have a meeting tomorrow. It's not the church's fault, and it's not the service helpers' fault. I take blame because I run the borough. I will have a meeting tomorrow. I will talk to the mayor and council tonight. I have some issues to deal with personnel issues, because I can't be everywhere at any given time, but I have big shoulders. So I tell you this right now, I don't want to play a blame game with anybody. If you have to blame somebody, blame me. But tonight, we'll talk to the council, and we'll talk tomorrow at this meeting, and we'll come to some kind of conclusion.
I'm not here to blame anyone.
I have big shoulders.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Kramer.
Eugene Creamer, 4th Avenue. Just on a follow-up to the RFP for the redevelopment, there was a word in there, and Kappa Borough. Can somebody give me a definition of what that means? I wasn't the only one, by the way, that doesn't know the meaning of that word.
Mr. Dasty?
The word is Kappa Borough.
I know what he's talking
It's in
Page
the
18.
about. No, it's,
Number 5.
Jerry, you can just turn your mic on.
That's a typo. My bad. I don't know, I have no idea what Capel Barrel means either. The phrase is, the owners have sufficient financial, I think it probably means capabilities, and it somehow got, but it's a typo, and we'll correct that.
I have seen that word other places, but I don't know the meaning, the meaning
An old
of it.
Italian word.
Excuse me?
I'll have it fixed. Thanks for bringing it up.
But the first thing I thought was, if I don't know what it means, I tend to doubt whether somebody reading
It
the
says has
RF.
sufficient financial to undertake the project, so it means financial, I'm sure have sufficient financial capability to undertake the project, but I'll have it fixed.
Okay, thank you. A little bit off subject here. Just wanted to mention this. There was a notice, in the fine print notice in Asbury Park Press on August 6th that T-Mobile is upgrading their wireless communications facility over at 1000 Ocean Avenue. And I noticed people that have, anxiously waiting for wireless 5G capability, and it's going to be coming to Belmar. By the way, I wanted to mention, I took a look at the aerial photography for the Mayfair. I was somewhat surprised. They appear to have perhaps the largest solar renewable energy facility in the borough.
Yeah, they did the whole roof. Anyone else? All right, seeing none. April?
A motion to close the public session and adjourn the meeting?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.